Hello again. Today it's time for another installment of This Week in Booktube, where I search Booktube and find different read-alongs and readathons and Booktuber milestones and bring them to you so you can find out what's going on in the world of Booktube. So without further ado, let's get on to this week's installment. First thing I cover is read-alongs and book clubs. The first thing I'm going to cover is To All the Books We Read Before, Rereadathon. This is going to be a readathon of To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy. KJ Reads Pages is doing this, with also Myona Reads as well. So in the month of November, they are reading the trilogy of the To All the Boys I Loved Before books. Next one is a K-pop book club. So what this is about is K-pop idols have books that they recommend or read, and this is going to be a book club that Emily Boone is running. The first book is going to be Please Look After Mom by Kyung-sook Shin, and I'll leave her link for the video as well as her Goodreads group as well. This will basically be through December or January. The next read-along is the Infernal Devices read-along. So this is going to be the 3 books in the Infernal Devices series that is going to take place from November 5th to the 25th. It's Jane Lindsay is running this along with Chandler Ansley and Novel Inc. Again, this is taking place from the 5th to the 25th, so every week you'll be reading one of the books from the Infernal Devices series. Next read-along is a Harry Potter read-along that is starting in January, that Reading with Ryan is doing. So in January, he's going to be reading Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and Harry Potter and Chambers of Secrets. In February, it's Prisoner of Azkaban. In March, it's Goblet of Fire. In April, Order of the Phoenix. In May, Half-Blood Prince. And in June, Deathly Hallows. Molly Shelley, she is doing a 5th Wave read-along. She's going to be reading the 5th Wave from November 1st to November 30th. Then the second book, The Infinite Sea, from December 1st to December 31st. And then the last star from January 1st to January 31st. Tomb Infinity and Sarcasm and Sci-Fi have a Galactic Grimoire book club where they are reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelley and the graphic novel Bitch Planet Volume 1. Twilightathon, where these 4 different booktubers are going to read through the Twilight books. So they're going to cover the first book, Twilight, and between the 28th of October and the 4th of November. And they're going to have a live show on the 4th of November on Grace Marie's channel. So it's going to be Grace Marie, Laurie Dawson, Where in the World is Leah James, and Keeping Tabs are all going to be running this read-along for all the Twilight books. Beck's Book and Punk Rock Girl PA are doing a Train Your Dragon read-along. The current book is How to Train Your Dragon. That's currently being read. And the live show for that first book is October 28th. At 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and then they will read another book every month. The Witchlands read-along, which covers the Truth Witch, Wind Witch, Sight Witch series of books. JLW Reads is doing this. Truth Witch will be going on from October 21st to November 24th. The read-along for Wind Witch will be November 25th to December 29th, and then Sight Witch will be December 30th to February 2nd. Musings of a Cat is doing what she's calling the Forensic Mysteries read-along. She's doing a read-along of this series by Elaine Ferguson, and she's going to be covering The Christopher Killer in October, The Angel of Death in November, The Circle of Blood in December, and The Dying Breath in January. And the way she described these books actually made it sound really interesting to me, so I decided to actually pick up The Christopher Killer and see if I would enjoy this book. So I will be reading this series along with her for at least the month of October to see if I like it. Speaking of Halloween, Bookish Realm is also doing a Goosebumps read-along. October 29th to November 4th is Welcome to Camp Nightmare and The Ghost Next Door. Lizzie Faye Loves Books. She's doing the Cherry Cola Book Club, which is a 6-book series written by Ashton Lee. The read-along schedule is, the second book is The Reading Circle in October, The Wedding Circle in November, A Cherry Cola Christmas in December, Queen of the Cookbooks in January, and Book Club Babies in February. Next one is the Daughter of Smoke and Bone read-along announcement, which is all 3 books in that trilogy. There are a bunch of hosts. Bookish Drama, Happy Booktuber, Dragon Queen's Lair, Grace Murray, Where in the World is Leah Jane, Reader Bee, and Reading with Ryan are all hosting this. It's going to be running from October through December. The Nevernight and God's Grave read-along, Pierre Ford and Little Book Owl are hosting this read-along. God's Grave on the 28th of October on Pierre's channel. Completely Melanie is doing her Potter Watch read-along. October 22nd is the second book. November 24th is the third. December 22nd is the fourth. The 19th is The Order of the Phoenix. The 16th of February is The Half-Blood Prince. March 30th is Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows, and April 27th is going to be Harry Potter and the Curse. Now let's get on to the readathons. Next readathon is K-Popathon. So this is basically a readathon based upon a particular K-pop group, and they have different challenges, and this runs monthly. This is a November month for K-Popathon. A Court of Books and Love does this along with Books and Beyond. The challenges is based on the band Red Velvet. And the first one is Happiness. Read a book that makes you happy. Red Flavor. Read a book with a red cover. Read a book in a genre you haven't read in a while. Choose your bias, Irene. Read a book you've been intimidated by but think you'll love with a pink cover. Sogi. Read a book with art in it or with a yellow cover. Wendy, read a book written by a Canadian author or with a blue cover. Joy, read a book with a picturesque cover or a green cover. Yuri, read a novella or book with a purple cover. And Rev Love, read a book you've been dreaming about reading. I probably have butchered some of those names, but that is the K-Popathon if you're interested, going on through the month of November. Next readathon I'm going to talk about is the BFF readathon. That goes from December 1st to December 31st. The Book Empress is running this, and this has a twist that you will not be picking the books for this readathon. You will have someone else pick the books for the readathon. So all of these challenges are actually not for you. They are for the person who you are getting to pick your TBR for. So it's either a friend or Twitter or however you want to do it to actually get somebody else to pick your books. But the challenges are: read a book with a favorite color on the cover, read a book that you think the person will never read, read a book with your favorite mythological creature, judge a book by its cover and pick a favorite cover off the person's shelf, pick a first book in a series, pick a book featuring an animal, pick a book that starts with the first letter of your first name. Pick a book in a series that the person hasn't finished. Pick a book that you want the person to read because you want to know if they could recommend it to you. And pick a book that you think they will love. Next readathon is the Lala-thon. So Books and Lala is doing her own readathon based on all of the favorite books that she's read. So it's a rereadathon for her, basically. And if you want to join in, she has a list of all her favorite books. And this is going to take place from November 1st to November 9th. The thing I'm going to talk about is Book Olive's Nonfiction November readathon. It's a very popular readathon. It's been going on for a while. She basically says that you only need to read one nonfiction book for the month of November and you'll be part of the readathon. But if you want some challenges, she has some vague words associated where you could kind of match with nonfiction. Challenges are 2-word pairings. So it's past time or pastime. Next one is self or shelf. Third one is wander or wonder. And the fourth one is micro or macro. And again, that's going on for the whole month of November. Next readathon I'm going to talk about is Readalong, 11th round of Readalong, the Weekend Warrior Edition, which is going on from November 16th to November 18th. A bunch of people are hosting: Gwendolyn Kessinger, Brunette Bibliophile, April Sarah, Pucks and Paperbacks. And the challenges are to read 3 books, do a TBR jar challenge. So you pick 10 books or prompts, and then you choose at random. And the third challenge is to read a book with a fall cover. Paperback Junkie is also doing a readathon that is calling a read-along, but it's a Star Trek read-along for the month of November, where you basically have to read just one Star Trek book, any Star Trek book. Next readathon I'm going to talk about is Read a Thin. A Court of Books and Love is doing that with Jessie Marie 493, a very bookish girl as well. The challenges are: read a book that's been on your TBR for over a year. Read a book that was gifted to you or that you got in a subscription box. Read a book with a fall colored cover. Read a book in a non-traditional format: an ebook, audiobook, graphic novel, manga, etc. Read a book entirely in a cozy spot. And read a group book, Dress Code for Small Towns by Courtney Stevens. Now, this Read a Thin is supposed to be to actually thin out your TBR pile of books. So these are supposed to be books that you actually already own and that you don't actually buy for the readathon, which is a nice concept that I really enjoy. Next readathon is another nonfiction readathon that's running on in the month of November. They're calling it NFN 2018. So it doesn't get confused with the nonfiction November that's Book Olive is doing. This one is being hosted by Kylie A, Triumphal Reads, Alex Black, and Reader B. And the goal is to get people to read more nonfiction. Just like the other nonfiction readathon, if you read at least one nonfiction book, you're successful in reading this nonfiction readathon. But they do have a bunch of challenges. Their goal for this is for you to read at least 4 books, though, if you could, for the month of November. And another goal is to not DNF any books that you read for nonfiction November. So these are all of the challenges. Read a book with a diagram, chart, or graph in it. Read a book with a map in it. Read a book about nature. Read a memoir or biography. Read a STEM book. Read a book about a different culture from your own or about a country you haven't been to. Read a book about a war or conflict other than World War II. Read a book with poetry. Read a book to help you develop a talent or skill. Read a collection of essays. Read a book written by a journalist. Read a book with no pictures. Read a book with more pictures than text. Read a book about something that happened at least 100 years ago. Read a book that gets you thinking deep thoughts. And read a book to do with the mind. Borrow-a-thon, round 5. That will be going on from November 4th to November 11th. There are a bunch of hosts. I will link to It's a Reading Things announcement video. And you can see all the different hosts that she has in her description, along with all of the challenges as well. Thanks-a-thon, Zach Loves Books, Vanessa Lee Reyes, Amber the Niffler, and Nikki Culver are all running this readathon. It runs from November 10th to November 15th. There are video challenges. First one would be a book-inspired snack. Make a book pie is the second one on the 12th. On the 13th is recreate book covers using Thanksgiving fall items. And on the 14th, a bookish family dinner, which is explained in the videos. Then the reading challenges for the actual readathon is read a book with shadows on the cover. Read a book suggested by someone you are thankful for. Read a book with a stormy spine. Read a children's middle grade book where the main character doesn't get along with their family. And the 5th challenge is actually to read 5 books of any books that you want to read. Just read 5 books in total. And the next readathon I'm going to talk about is the A to Z readathon, which has been done before, but this is a new one now that's going to take place from November 1st to November 30th. It's basically, you know, read books from A to Z. There is normal mode, which is pick either author name or book title, then read books to make sure you've covered every letter of the alphabet. Example, The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter would net you 16 of 26 letters, and you just basically try to fit all of the 26 letters. Then there's hard mode, which is pick an author's last name or title, which is read 1 book for every letter, with X being wild. And it sounds like an interesting readathon, so if you're interested in trying it out, I'll give you the link down in the description. Now let's get on to Booktube milestones. First person we're going to talk about here is Caught Between Pages, who has a video about her 500 subscribers. Chanley Ansley has a 1,000 subscriber Q&A video up as well. Novel Inc. has a 1,000 subscriber video up. Bookish Babbles has a 500 subscriber video up as well. So congratulations to all those booktubers for their milestones. And again, thanks again for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.